All right, everybody, welcome back to the Rathletes podcast. I am here with former UCLA basketball player Chrissy Baird. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm great. We just did like a full debrief, like pre-camera, so we already got into like the meat and potatoes and the catching up and everything like that. But um, yeah, man. So closet vibe. We are in the closet. We are in the room. It's okay. Like don't judge
Yeah.
us on our aesthetics and stuff like that. It's just like the
Yeah.
grittiness
It's
and it's the
right.
athlete in us. Like just figure it out and just like jump right jump right into it.
I will say that's really on me. I just moved, so I have like this new room. It's really great, but there's nothing in it, so the echo is very bad. I'm sitting in the closet.
It's all right. We'll get it all situated and then we'll jump into the move and stuff like that. So Chrissy, I know you. I'm sure a lot of other people know you too as well. I'm sure a lot of people that are gonna watch this podcast too know who you are and like your background and everything like that. But just little introduction into yourself and tell us a little about yourself, like your background, like where you're from and everything. High school and stuff that you played at, et cetera, et cetera. Like if we're looking at the player card right now, like looking at the debrief of all of you. So let's hear.
Well, I grew up in Wheaton, Illinois, which is a small suburb outside of Chicago, like an hour from downtown. I grew up same house my whole life, lived on the same street. I went to Wheaton North High School,
Okay.
which was the same high school my dad went to, which is kind of cool.
Okay.
But yeah, my whole family's from Wheaton, so my whole childhood was playing outside with my cousins that lived down the street. My grandparents lived up the street. It was a pretty sweet way to grow up. My elementary school, was down the street, and I made my best friends in kindergarten, and they're still my best friends to this day. So
Important.
this, yeah, it's a sweet thing about growing up in a small town. There's a lot of things about it that maybe aren't the best, but I have nothing but great memories. And yeah, I'm just like thankful to have been raised there. My parents still live there, so it's fun to get to go back and just kind of see like, wow, like this is really the place that raised me and made me who I am. So I'm grateful.
Sick. And you have a sister too. Sister, is it just a sister or do you have other siblings too as well?
I have an older brother, he's 28, and then my younger sister is 21.
Got you. Okay. So I was doing a little bit of like background into you, looking up like, the high school stories and stuff. And I didn't know this because you didn't share this. You're very humble. So I know you wouldn't have shared these things, but I seen in high school you had career overall, you had 1,000 points, 828 rebounds, you averaged 15 and 9 your senior year. You won Miss Illinois as a senior and was the second team All USA today in your senior year too as well. Tell us a little bit about the background side of things. I mean, the basketball side of things, because come on now, that's a little serious right there. I can't believe we left that out of our friendship. Like, I feel like I should have known that, like in the early phases.
Oh, well, first of all, we were friends, and basketball was not going as well as
And
it
we'll
was.
get into that too.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I feel really grateful for like even the high school experience I got to have. I had a coach who just believed in me, and I just grew up with like a dad who loved basketball, and my dad was my first coach. We had a little hoop in this room upstairs in our house, and we'd play every night before we went to sleep with him and my brother. And I just like fell in love with the game,
Yeah.
truly, like in it. I think too, like growing up, I like was always the tallest, and so
Mm,
I think
same.
basketball helped me, like, yeah, like, and I feel like I didn't have like a place, and I was trying to figure that all out. And so it's like then you grow up and like, oh, like I found my place playing, and I realized like, okay, this is something I can be good at. And like I remember in middle school having like a club coach come to one of my games and being like, hey, we want you on our team. And that was the first time where I was like, oh, like I think I'm good. Like I think this could take me somewhere. And so I think then just having a high school coach who believed in me, like I like didn't have the confidence myself, but I'll never forget like my first day of summer practice, I walked in and he was like, where do you want basketball to take you? Like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I want to go play at UCLA. That was
Mm,
always my dream. That's what I wanted to do. And he's like, I believe you can get there. You're gonna have to let me kick your butt every day.
yeah.
And he did
Hard work. Yeah.
for 4 years straight, like early mornings before school, after school practice, all those things. And I think to then be just, I think he just set the tone. Like he believed in me, and like before I believed in myself, and then I started to believe in myself. And
Right.
so, yeah, I had like a really successful high school career, and I'm so grateful for it. I also had really great teammates, and to just be in a program where I trusted my coach cared about me, he had my back. Like he worked harder than anybody,
Yeah.
like with film, with prep, with all those things, and just like he was always in my ear. Like he would text me before every game and every practice, like, you are the best player in the state of Illinois. You are the best player in the state of Illinois. And I didn't believe him.
Yeah.
But he, you know, but like it was
He
just
was
like,
pumping you up with
yeah.
positivity and stuff like that.
And it was just cool to know like I had him in my corner. And I think back to like so many moments where it was like, wow, like my life trajectory is what it is because I had someone who looked me in the eyes and believed in me. And so, yeah, like I was successful, but it had so much more to do with the people that had my back. It was my parents who showed up to every game, my grandparents, my cousins, my friends, you know, like I just had so much love that,
Right.
yeah, I just feel like grateful for the opportunity. And it seriously took a village. And yeah, I got to do cool things, but I had really incredible teammates too. And to be a part of like, you know, this small high school in Wheaton, Illinois, like small public school, it wasn't
Yeah.
anything like miraculous, but to do what we did and like get to be like a part of it was just really special. But I think it just goes back to the people and like I was surrounded by, and like that was, I didn't do any of that. Like that was just luck. And I'm just really grateful.
Right. And that's awesome. I think that you hit it on the nail too as well. Like with just having like a strong support staff. I think especially like for athletes, that's important. Being able to have that, you know, that those people that are uplifting you and stuff and like seeing things in you that you may not even see yourself. And you know, I think like just that could take you a long ways because I like have similarities in that too as well. So definitely I'm agreeing with you on that. So how was the program before you got there? Like, was it a dominant program? Like, was this like a high school? Like it was just like a situation where it's like your zone high school, you like wanted to go there? Like, did you like rezone and go there type of deal? Like, how was the basketball program before you were there?
I mean, that was just the school I was zoned to down the street. Like I
Okay.
didn't do it. Like I didn't do any of that. But they were pretty like it was definitely so my coach probably took it over like 10ish years before I got there, and
Okay.
the team was 1-27 his first year. And then my junior year we made it to like the Sweet 16 or whatever, the Illinois State Championship,
I saw
and
that.
that was the farthest the team's ever gone. And I think that's the farthest we've gone since. And so just because we're like my high school that I went to was the smallest school and the biggest like I don't remember what it's called, like
There was like
1A,
region,
2A,
like
yeah,
zone.
like
Yeah, yeah,
so it was the smallest school in the biggest region in the state for basketball, and so it's
yeah.
just cool, like we're playing up against all these teams, like private schools, you know, that I mean, they don't recruit allegedly. I don't
They,
know.
quote
That's
unquote, they don't
that's
recruit,
none
but
of my business.
but they are
But
actually recruiting, probably
right.
getting them into like
It's
magnet programs and whatnot.
right. So I'm just grateful. Like I just, you know, like it was just cool to like I just went to the school that was down the street and built something with my best friends, and like, you know, not everyone gets to say that. So I'm
Right.
grateful.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how my process was too, as well. Cause like I know like coming through like the high school like circuit, like I was like everybody like no, well, middle school, like youth football and everything. Everybody thought I was like going to Gorman and everything because like that's where
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of like, you know, good, like not to toot my own home,
Right.
but like good youth football players and stuff were
Right.
going. Like it was to Bishop Gorman. And a lot of my like teammates and stuff like that from youth football, like they went there, but like you know, financially wasn't able to pay to go to Bishop Gorman. So being able to go to a public school and being able to be there and, you know, grow throughout the program and like win games. Like, cause my the high schools I went to, they were like pretty dominant high schools. Like we always lost to Gorman. Like it was just like, they were
Mm-hmm.
just on a different pedestal than us. But,
Right.
you know, just being able to go through there and like make it out and like go to like a big school and stuff like that. Like, I think it's inspiring to kids that feel like they need to go to these like private schools or like these schools that like quote unquote, like bring all these coaches in and stuff like that. Like you can kind of create the narrative for yourself, you know? So, yeah, I definitely relate to you in that aspect too as well, because like I think it's important just to go to his own school, go to the school that you're zone for type of deal, and you know, kind of make it out like that. So that's really, really awesome. So what is like a like what's it like a basketball story or like outside of basketball, like something like the childhood story that you have like related to basketball in high school or like in like your AAU circuit or like, you know, like something that is like very memorable that like sticks with you through that process?
Well, I think like when I think about basketball, like growing up, like it really was like it was the simple things. Like I had, like I said, I had that room above my garage in my house, and it was
Mm-hmm.
like a 5 foot hoop. and my dad taught me how to play basketball like in my house, and he like taught me how to shoot a left-handed layup first because he's like, it's harder. Like you're gonna have, because I'm right-handed.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have a harder time going left. So we're gonna teach you how to go left first.
Yeah.
Well, the irony of the whole thing is like I went left my whole career. Like I just wanted to go left, and it was like, you know, just little moments. But I just think like my basketball career was a bunch of little moments of people like looking me in the eyes, believing in me, coaching me. Like my high school team, like we weren't supposed to be anything special, and we were. So I think there's not like a specific moment that like really sticks out to me. It was just a bunch of little ones. And like my high school basketball team, we were like, I mean, people would make fun of us. Like we're so close. Like we spent so much time together, and they'd be like, yeah, the basketball team's a cult, and like, sure, whatever. And we used to tell
yeah, like whatever.
That.
Like,
yeah, like we used to tell him that, and he'd be like, yeah, I'm proud. Like I'm proud that that's the kind of environment we fostered. So I think just like that family atmosphere was like what I remember most. And like, of course, there's games that I remember.
Yeah.
Different moments where like, oh, we finally beat the crosstown rival, you know, the last game we ever played on, and like the gym's packed with 2,000 people and everyone storms the court. You know, it's like that's the cool stuff where it's like, you don't forget that. But then when I look back, it's like those, I feel like we always have those coaches. So they're like, you're not going to remember the wins and losses. You're going to remember like the people who you impacted. And you're like, yeah, I'm sure that's true. I'm sure that's true.
Right.
And now I look back and I'm like, there's a few games that stick, you know, like there's a few games that stick out to me. But then there's like looking back, it's like I was just in a wedding last weekend for one of my high school teammates. She's my best friend, and I look around and I find myself on the dance floor. It's my dad, my coach, and my best friend. You know, and
you can't beat that,
right? And so like I loved playing, like I really did, and I'm so grateful. But it's like the people is what I'm probably the people I get to do life with still is what I'm most proud of from my career for sure.
Got you. Yeah, that's really dope, man. It's definitely refreshing to hear. So as like we talk about the highs, you know, we talk about the positives and stuff like that through the high school journey, and then we'll dive in like college in a few too as well. But like through the high school journey, was there like any tough situations that you like dealt with like on the AAU circuit or like the high school circuits, like injuries, like lack of playing times, like because you know as an athlete, there's ups and downs in it. You know, sometimes you're playing a lot, some days you feel that you can't find out why you're not playing, or you may be dealing with the injury or something that is nagging, anything like that. So just like to give the listener like something that, you know, that they can, you know, kind of refresh themselves on in the sense of like saying that, you know, within that journey, like it's ups and downs in it. So is there anything from like your like high school playing days and stuff like that that you could remember, like trying to get yourself to UCLA that was like a down moment or anything like that?
Oh, totally. I think I will never forget this. In 8th grade, I was on this club team. You know, like 8th grade going to high school. It was the summer after 8th grade going to freshman year of high school.
Yeah.
I was at a club practice, and I could like tell you where I was standing in the gym. Like I remember this so vividly. I'm standing there, and my AAU coach at the time looked at me, and he was like, "Chrissy, you will never be tall enough, strong enough, or fast enough, or talented enough to play Division I basketball." And I'm standing there and I'm kind of like, I mean, I'm 13.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like a lot.
Let me develop a little bit. Like,
I'm like, I know I'm like awkward, you know, all these things. But, and like, for me, it was like, but I trusted you with the dream that I had. Like, you know what my dream is. And like, regardless of the time, like, I don't know, like I'm a 13-year-old girl is telling you I want to go play basketball at UCLA, and you're going to look at her in the eyes and be like, you're not strong enough, tall enough, talented enough, or quick enough.
Right.
And I was kind of like, bet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like who are you to even say, who is he to even say that? Like,
and then I remember then going to my high school practice like a few weeks later, and I told my high school coach that, and I'll never forget it. He looked me in the eyes. He's like, Chrissy, never let anybody tell you you're not good enough.
Yeah. Never.
And I think like the AAU circuit is rough. Like you are going to be told like it is, I mean, it's such a money thing. Like it's all about money.
It's all it's about.
And who knows who, and it's so easy to be discouraged, and you're like, why am I doing this, why am I doing that? And I just stayed the course, and I was like, I believe in myself, and like I will bet on myself, and then I'm gonna double down, you know. And like I just had people that were with me in it. And so, and like with basketball it's tough because AAU is so important. Like that's how you know, when you're younger, you're getting out there, getting seen. And I think it's probably less important now with social media and all those things, have blown up. But I didn't have that, you know, and so like I had to play on the circuit and I had to go. And so I think I just found like the right people who believed in me. I think when it got rough, I had teammates that believed in me, and like they were all going through the same thing I was going through. But I think like there's so much politics involved with AAU basketball, and like I had a good experience. Like that's not to like shoot anyone down, but it's just the reality of it. Like when money's involved, things get tricky. And so I think just to like stay the course and like believe in yourself and find people that do. And it's not gonna be like every coach you have isn't gonna think you're the best, and that's okay. And like, you know, a lot of people didn't think I was good enough to go to UCLA, and that's okay. So like in reality, he was probably right. Like
Right.
you know, like, but it didn't matter if he was right or not. Like I still had a dream, and so it's like when you had someone, I'm like, but you're supposed to help me get there, and he didn't believe in me. So I ended up switching clubs later, a few years later, just for a different experience. But I think it's a tough game to play, but it's like, how can you be a good teammate? How can you work really hard? How can you do all these things that like regardless, like, you know, like if a coach is watching me, like I'm cheering on my teammates on the sideline, and like my time will come, you know, like it'll always come. So it's rough. I mean, I had a hard time. Like you know, it was rough. You know, there's a lot of days where I drive home from practice and I cry, games I'd cry, you know, like all these things. But it ended up working out, and I'm like lucky and grateful for that. But I think it's hard when you feel like you're like handing over. Like I feel like I was handing over my dreams all the time. It's like, well,
Yeah.
hopefully I can trust you with this. Hopefully I can trust you with this. And luckily I found like a personal trainer who like he was great and he believed in me too. So it's like just finding the right people and not letting what anyone else says affect. Like I had a dream, and so I'm like, you can think what you want about me. That's totally fine. But like one day I'm going to go to UCLA, and you're going to put on your website that I played for you. You know what I mean? It's just those things where it's just like, okay.
Oh,
like,
now I know her. Now I know her. Now I want to support
like,
her.
oh yeah. Oh yeah, we saw it in her a long time ago. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's like, oh, did you? Because yeah, but I don't know. It's hard. Like it's definitely a hard thing to navigate. But I think you just gotta stay the course. You
Stick with
have to
it.
play, right? Like you have to do it. It's like
Mm-hmm.
a necessary evil. If you want to play in college, you gotta play AAU basketball. So
Yeah.
grind it out.
Right. And I think it's dope that, and I commend you too for sure for like sticking with it. Cause like I said, like, you know, I was mentioning earlier, like it's so many ups and downs with just playing sports, like any level that you play on. I never got the opportunity to play pro. But like I know, like just from my conversations that I've had, like it's very like ups and downs. Like you have people that don't believe in you. And even outside of sports, just like life in general, man. Like a lot of people like will say have like naysayers have something to say, you know, people feel like they know more than you do type of deal about like yourself, like, you know, et cetera. And the list goes on. But like, I think the main thing, like that's relative for it all, like sports and outside of sports, is just sticking with it and being consistent. You know, it's not, everything is not going to be, there's going to be some gray area, you know, a lot of the times, and then a lot of days it's going to be up, you know, and I think the main thing is just being able to just stick with it and like seeing it through. So like, you know, like I said, I commend you for like, you know, being a 13-year-old and hearing somebody like tell you that, you know, it's just like, you know, it could be crushing. Like, and I know it crushes a lot of 13-year-olds' dreams, but you know, it's the main thing is just stick it to it. And if it's something that you genuinely want to do, you know, you could take it as far as you want to take it. So, cause like I know, you know, just from like my process and stuff, like, you know, there were a lot of people that didn't think that, you know, from my like genetic disease and stuff like that, they didn't think I was going to be able to get as far as I could. But, you know, just that self-belief within myself and then like that support staff that like we talked about earlier, you know, you can move mountains with that, man. So like, I think it's very important that you stick with that, like with anything, like in sports, outside of sports too, as well. So definitely life lessons from CB here. So did you ever get the opportunity to play with your sister, like in an AAU circuit or in high school?
No, so she's 5 years younger than me.
Oh,
So
really? I didn't know
yeah,
she was that much younger.
yeah. So it's like when I'm 14 playing on the circuit trying to go to college, she's 9, you know. So
Wow.
we like just missed each other. Like had I been 1 year younger, or I think we missed each other by like 1 year.
Yeah.
So had I stayed in college for 7 years, we could have been teammates, maybe, if we went to the same place. But
Right.
5 was just plenty.
Yeah, that's what's up. And how is she doing like with college basketball and everything?
She's doing great. I mean, she's like, we're in Nashville together. It's so fun. Like Belmont is an incredible school, like incredible program. Like they're building something so special here. Like they beat Oregon in the NCAA tournament last year,
Oh, sick. I did
and
not know that.
had Tennessee on their heels to go to the Sweet 16, and just came up a few possessions short. But I think like, just like, yeah, it's just cool to watch. It's cool to see, like, just to be a part of it really and see it up close, and like
Yeah.
she's there, it's incredible. And yeah, so they've had a really successful, and she'll be around for a few more years, and we'll get to keep doing it. So
All right. That's dope. That's dope. Did you guys ever
yeah,
get any like one-on-one action in?
not really, because like she was so much younger than me that like it just wouldn't have been fair.
Fair.
You know what I mean? Like I'm in college and she's 12. You know, like it wasn't. So
Yeah.
and we're in different
She might have
positions
gave you a
too.
running for your money, man.
Oh, she for sure would now, but don't tell her I said it. But we are also different positions, which is cool. That like we went to the same high school, played for the same coach, but like nobody really gave us like the comparison thing, because like I was a forward, she was a guard, so it's like
Yeah.
she scored more points than me, but like she was shooting threes. Like I had more rebounds because that was my thing. You know what I mean? So it's just cool. Like we kind of both built our own thing, paved our own way, and like no one was ever like, oh, it's Chrissy's sister, you know, like she was definitely her own person, and which I'm grateful for. And like, cause I always wanted that for her too. Like I never wanted her to feel like she had to do this because of me. And so it's fun to be a part of it now and just to get to watch and be her biggest fan. And
Right.
I have no, you know, like it's not about me at all. It's finally about her, because she spent her whole life coming to all my stuff because my parents dragged her to everything.
Yeah. Hey, come on now. Let's go. Let's get over here to the game. He's dragging her out
Yeah,
there.
right.
I'm sure she wanted to be there though.
Eventually, I think at first she was like, I'm tired of this.
Oh man. So growing up in one of the meccas of basketball, who was like some of your favorite basketball players growing up?
Well, I think obviously first and foremost, Michael. Like
Okay.
Michael is the GOAT. Thank you.
Okay. Oh wow. All right.
Having
Okay, take it there, huh?
having a dad who grew up in Chicago playing basketball, like I
Yeah.
was just raised on Michael, you know. And then my mom's from California, so then once Michael retired, then we were like big into the Lakers. We watched Kobe all the time, and so I think, yeah, I would say like I just grew up watching all types of basketball. But then I think the coolest part was I grew up. Candace Parker went to my rival high school, and
Oh,
so
really?
she's playing, and I'm
What was the name
like
of that school?
Naperville Central.
Okay, got you.
So I got to I got to go to all her high school games, you know, and like watch her. Like she would literally dunk on my high school team, but like actually she actually dunked. But I
Oh.
think it was just cool, like because she was the first like women's basketball player I saw up close, like be great. And
Yeah.
so I think she like, and I would say for most of my friends too, like Candace was it. And she also showed us it was possible. And like she kind of gave me like I didn't know the places basketball could take me, but then I watched her and what it did, and then I watched her go to Tennessee, and then even to watch her now come back to Chicago and win a championship. Like it's just so cool to see like the full circle moments. And so growing up getting to watch her like was such a gift. And I
Yeah.
like it's just so cool. Like I paid $4 to go watch her play. You know what I mean? Like that's crazy.
Right. Yeah.
She wasn't, I mean, as good as she is now, you can imagine how she was playing against public school, high school.
Right. I didn't know she was dunking on people.
Yeah, no, she was literally dunked.
Oh
Like,
gosh.
not even, yeah.
That's sick. Have you ever got to like connect with her? Like, you know, like having any conversations or anything?
Yeah, so she came to UCLA. I think she did the color commentary for one of our games once. So at one time, like before game, we were just talking, like it's just about like our experience and like her coach, my coach, because like my coach coached against her. Like it was the same people, you know. So it's just
Yeah.
cool to like kind of hear that and different stories. And that's when she was in LA. So it's like we both, you know, come from Chicago to LA, and we're kind of we still had like the small town Chicago in us. But yeah, so it's just cool. I'm just grateful for her example and what she's done for even like girls basketball in Illinois. Like she put us on the map.
Yeah.
And like AAU wasn't even big back then. And then it was like, well, Candace needed a team. So it grew so much because of her, which is cool.
Yeah, and she's a dope person too as well. She's definitely up there, Hall of Famer for sure. So
for sure.
That's good that you got to be able to connect with her and like go. It all comes back full circle. So
yeah,
that's dope. So let's talk about UCLA a little bit. Like, how was the journey on and off the court? Like, what were some of like your most memorable moments from being at UCLA? And like, how was like the journey of like you know being a student athlete, like from the physically and like on the mental side of things too as well.
Yeah. I feel like anytime anyone ever asks me this question, like I want to preface it by saying like I had the best 5 years. I had the best experience, and I left UCLA a happier, healthier, more full and better version of myself because of my teammates, my coaches, the support staff. Like, so I feel like, and that's not everybody's story. That's not everybody's experience of college athletics. And so I feel like when you ask that question, it's like almost under the assumption that someone had a negative experience because it's super common, right? So I like to say I had the best experience. I would do it 10 out of 10 times again. Like I would do the exact same thing. And also it was really hard, you know, and like there's a lot of really hard days. And so I think amidst the best 5 years, and I don't even know if it's the best 5 years of my life because I believe, you know, I'm still like,
still living.
It hasn't happened yet, you know what I mean?
It's much more.
Right. But like there were really, really hard days in there. And like, you know, like mentally, physically, emotionally, like it's hard. Like it's just a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to balance. Like I was going from small town Wheaton, Illinois to LA. Like the culture shock was so real.
Big culture shock.
Being far away from my family for the first time, like getting injured a ton, like not having really experienced too much hardship in my life, and then getting to college and like a lot of things went wrong. It was whether in my life, my family's life, you know, just personally, like a lot happened within those 5 years. And so I'm really thankful I was there because I weathered a lot of storms because I knew the people there had my back. But it was hard. Like it's really hard. And I don't think you know how hard it is until you get out of it and you look back and you're like, I have no idea how I like the waking up at 5 a.m., going to weights, going to this, going to practice, going to this,
crazy.
going to that. Like it's crazy. And it takes a toll on you for sure. And like I experienced like some like definite like mental health things that I was, you know, seeking a lot of help for. And I'm really grateful that I was provided with the resources and the opportunity even to have it. But like it's hard. And like it's a very real thing that we experience. I think, and not even a student athlete thing, I think it's a life thing, but I think student athletes, the pressure of it for sure got to me. But I'm just grateful that I had people around me that were like, yeah, it's like okay if you're not okay, and like we will help you get the help that you need. And like that was very welcomed. I felt like that was a very like, we had conversations like that all the time within our team of just like, no, but how are you really doing? And to just have a coach where every single day before practice, she would look me in the eyes and be like, how are you doing? And I'd be like, oh, I'm good. How are you? And she's like, no, like, how are you actually
like
doing?
really
like,
doing,
I actually care. And we had like meetings once a week with one of the coaches on our team. It was a requirement. And you'd go in there and like the rule was you couldn't talk about basketball. And so you're sitting in there with a coach face to face for an hour every week. And it's about everything else. Like they really cared.
Dope.
And I knew they cared because they showed up for me in so many moments. So it's really hard, but when you have the right people, like you can get through it.
Yeah.
And I feel grateful that was my experience because I know it's not true for everyone. And like I'm like one of the lucky ones, and I just believe that.
Yeah. That's really awesome that like you guys were like, because I know that that's not a very common thing. Like you said, you guys took an hour out, you know, of those meetings and like talked about everything other than basketball. Like that's really, really dope, man. Like, was that like was that a Coach Close thing, or was that like, it was with her, like with another like assistant coach?
So each coach would have kind of a different, like they'd split up each up. So I think each coach had like 4 to 5 people just so it could be really intentional. And there would be some like the year I was meeting with Corey once a week, I'd walk in there and she would just get a box of tissues and she would just put it on the desk. And I'm just like, dang, but it's just cool to know that like I just felt, you know, you're just safe because they just knew me and they just knew, and they'd be like, we're here to listen. And I remember my freshman year having meetings with the coach I was meeting with, and she'd be like, are you homesick yet? I'm like, no, I'm fine. I'm good. Like I live in LA. Right. And then one day I like got in there and I was like, oh, I think you were right. And I don't really think I'm doing okay. And so it's just cool. Like, and I just feel like they just cared. Like they just genuinely cared. And like they still check in on me to this day.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like, and so, and obviously like relationships change once you graduate. Like they have a whole new team. So like I don't expect them to be calling, texting me all the time, but it's like the relationships are still there because it's like when life happens, it's like they're my, like, you know, a lot has happened since I graduated, and there were so many moments like the staff there, they were the first call. Like they always call and checking in on me, and it's just cool to see, and I'm just like grateful because
it's a family.
Totally.
Yeah, that's really dope. That's really dope. So so like I said, I was doing some research, and so I was aware of the situation, but I just didn't know exactly like what years it took place. But you dealt with the injury in 2016, the 2016 to 2017 season. So you played your true freshman year. You played the year after that. Your junior year, you dealt with the injury. under the impression you redshirted that year, and then, finished out, the rest of your career at UCLA. You want to go in a little bit in depth about that injury, like in like just like what happened and like how was the process of recovering with that?
Yeah, I mean, you remember? It's rough.
Yeah, I do.
That's when we became friends.
Yeah.
So I tore my ACL going into my junior year, like playing summer pickup. Like it was
Yeah,
so stupid.
man.
And it was 4th of July, and I was playing, and it was just like one of those things where I was just playing defense and just stepped on someone's foot, went to press my foot off the ground, and my knee just hyperextended and it popped. It didn't swell, it didn't hurt. I heard it pop. That's it. So I kept playing because I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
Everything
Like tough
popped.
it out.
I'm like, whatever. I'm like,
the sun will rise again tomorrow.
Right. And I'm kind of like, yeah, every part of my body cracks and pops all the time. It's normal.
Right.
And then the next day I was like, I don't know, like something about this is off, and so then eventually getting an MRI, and even the doctor was like, yeah, I think you're fine. Like, you'll be good. And then it's like, okay, I get an MRI, and they're like, yeah, like we'll call you with the results within like, a few days. And I'm like, cool. And then it's like when they don't call you, that's when you're like, I was like calling the office, like, hey, I'm just like checking in. And they're like, oh,
what's going on?
Yeah, they're like, we're actually gonna have you come in. I'm like, right.
Something is not right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm like, oh, you're not just gonna like have me come in to like give me a high five and tell me like, oh, you're gonna need to do exercises for 2 weeks.
Right.
So it was completely torn. And I mean, I felt like I was my strongest, and like I was ready to go. Like I felt like I had struggled the first 2 years, but was in a pretty good place. And I was the strongest I'd been, the fastest, I had the most comprehensive understanding of like the offense, my position, what the team needed from me. Like I felt like ready to go. And then it just kind of all came crashing down at once, and it was hard. Like I had a really hard surgery. I had a hard recovery. And the toll it took mentally, I think, was the one thing I hadn't anticipated. Like you expect it physically to be hard, you're coming back from major surgery,
right,
complete ACL reconstruction, and then a surgery that didn't quite go as planned. So they had to do some extra things in there. So the recovery, when I went under, they were like, it'll be 9 months. When I woke up, they're like, it'll be 12 to 15. So even that aspect of like, wait, that's a 6 months difference.
Yeah.
Like
big time.
And so it was hard. Like I had a really hard time. Mentally it was really bad. Like, and I think in conjunction with that, like I was experiencing some things outside of that. So it's like I had like some sickness in my family, which was really hard. Some other things were going. So I was experiencing like anxiety and depression and like symptoms of PTSD for the first time in my life ever. And I'm also trying to come back from major surgery.
Right.
And I'm dealing with all these things. And so it was pretty rough. It was really hard. Like there's like no sugarcoating it. Like I was not in a good place.
Yeah.
But I look back and I'm like, wow, like I was probably worse off than I knew. And I'm so thankful for the people that had so much grace for me and just showed up for me and were my friend amidst my being probably not super fun to be a friend to, but that's just what I experienced. Like just people showing up and being like, and not like expecting anything from me, just being there. And it was a rough recovery. It took a really long time, and I had a hard time, and that's just the realities of it, you know what I mean? But and also like it was awful, and I'm so glad I was where I was, because of, like I said, that love and support. Like I couldn't have imagined it other places. Like I don't think I would have stuck it out anywhere else. I don't think I would have had the capacity to, but there I just had the right people and the right tools that even my showing up was like a train wreck every day. Like they were just like, here's the physical therapist you need to see, and here's the therapist you need to see, and here, it's just like
we're still there for you.
Yeah.
That's really dope. And I like I said, I knew the process and the journey, like outside of, just the podcast and the things that, we do to show the people. But I appreciate you because like I feel like you helped me out through a lot through my freshman year at UCLA, and like just looking at you and your process and stuff like that, it was very like inspiring, and like, you know, just like how like you dealt with like, so like a, you know, we keep, you know, going back to like being ups and downs as an athlete, you know, you dealing with the ups and downs and everything, and like we're still being able to be that cool person to be around, and like us being able to have like a good time, and like, you know, just being able to, you know, enjoy the things outside of sports and have conversations outside of sports that were like, was like very refreshing. So, you know, I appreciate you for that. And then also like commending you, like I said, like, you know, just like for getting yourself through that, and like being able to push through, and like, you know, you returned and was able to play, you know, finished out 2017, 2018, and 2018, 2019, and then also graduated from UCLA, because you don't you have your master's too as well, right?
I just have just undergrad.
Just
I did not
undergrad.
take the
Okay.
master track.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think it's just cool. Like I think about then like your injury, like obviously that's your own story to tell. It's not my
Yeah.
story to tell. But like I feel like I learned how to care for people when I was hurt. So that's
Yeah.
why I would like when you got hurt, it was like go time. Like
Yeah.
you know, like
Yeah.
it was just like how can we do, because it's like I felt so grateful, and I feel like we shared a ton of experiences together, and
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just grateful we, you know, got to talk it out over some Chipotle and
Yeah.
you know, all the things.
Just kick it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely it was definitely you know, I definitely appreciated that a lot. So like what were some of the like the for like people that are dealing with injuries like in any sport for that matter, and like you know, just going through like that right now, like what advice would you give? Like what were some of the things that, you know, I know you mentioned support staff and stuff, but like what were some of the things that got you through like your injury as a college athlete, and like, you know, anybody that's like earlier in their college phase and like any like phase of like high school and stuff, like what were some of like the not necessarily, I don't want to say coping mechanisms, but more so like some of the things that like you could look at like, okay, I really needed that, or like that really helped me out, like whether that was like stretching or going on a walk, like et cetera, et cetera.
I think what I tell everyone is like you have to celebrate every small victory.
Mm.
So it was like when I got off my crutches, you would think I just won the lottery with how I responded. You know, because
Like,
it's like I just
yeah.
you have to like if
Yeah.
you have, because if you look at it like from a okay, you wake up from surgery, you're like in 12 months I'll get to play again. Like what does that even like what does that mean? Like what does 12 months mean? Where it's like no, in 3 weeks I'll be off my crutches, and then in 3 more weeks I'll be off my brace, and then I'll get to run, and then I'll get to jump, you know. So I feel like I really celebrated like every small victory, and I kind of brought my teammates and my coaches in on that too, and like, you know, that doesn't help everyone, but it really helped me. So like they were just there and they're like, yeah, heck yeah, you
Let's
ran
go.
big, you know what
Yeah.
I mean, just
Support
like stuff
staff.
like that.
Yeah.
And I think because if you look at it from a long game, like the marathon of it is like it's so daunting, and especially when you don't actually know like, hey, what is the actual timeline? Like every injury is different, like 12 months, 15 months, 9 months, like you don't know. And so I
Right.
think I just learned to celebrate every little thing. And then I think I surrounded myself with people too, like I had friends that weren't athletes, and so like we wouldn't talk about basketball at all, which was
Yeah.
refreshing at some point, because sometimes you're in the conversation so much, all it does is remind you that what you're not doing.
Yeah.
Whereas
I
I had
experienced
friends
that
where
so
they
much in college.
right.
Yeah.
Where they just like I had friends, they just like didn't care. Like
Yeah.
they were so unimpressed with my athletic career, which
Like
was
stop talking about
amazing.
basketball for
Right.
once.
They're like,
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. They're like, I don't, the offense means nothing to me. Don't care that you beat
Yeah.
this team. Have no idea. You know, and so I think just like surrounding yourself with diverse people who think differently and
Hmm.
experience life differently was super helpful to me. Just for having, like, it wasn't my sole focus all the time. And then I think the third I would say is when people ask me how I was doing, I would tell the truth.
Hmm.
So if I was having a bad day, like I was going to tell you I was having a bad day,
Hmm.
because I couldn't, like, I was too tired. Like I was too physically exhausted
Yeah.
to even like pretend I wasn't.
Yeah.
And so I think just like I couldn't pretend I was so tired. My body hurt so badly. It's like, okay, well, I have nothing left. I'm not going to put on a fake smile for you today because I just can't do it. And so
Yeah.
I think just being able to tell the truth, and then when people like were like, what do you need? I tried to like have an answer. Like,
Hmm.
hey, what actually do I need? Because I want to be action oriented. Like I want to go like solve a problem. I don't want to just sit in it.
Yeah.
But I think just I had to learn to tell the truth and like learn that every day wasn't going to be great and it wasn't
Yeah.
sunshine and roses and woo, you know, like I love life all the time. Like it was hard, but I think so just having people that I could tell the truth to, and then also like advocating for myself. Like if something wasn't going right, I would say it, or like this doesn't feel right, or this, you know, just I felt like to kind of gain some sense of control back of like I understand the protocol, I do all that, but like I also understand like I'm the only person in my own body.
Right.
And so I feel like just having that, and I think you experienced that too, of just like, no, I know what feels right
What's
and what
going
doesn't
on?
feel right.
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
And so it just made me like trust myself too, that like, so I knew my knee was ready to go play because I knew what I had paid attention to how I felt the whole process. So it's like, I know what ready feels like.
Right.
And I know what strong feels like. And obviously there's protocol and there's tests you do to like make sure, but it's like, if I wasn't ready to, or like I was scared to do something, I'd be like, I'm scared. Like that's the reality. And so I think just being honest about it was probably, it definitely helped.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's some free gaming right there, because like I feel like if you're not suppressing, like don't suppress your feelings. Like I feel like, you know, that's the thing that I'm getting from that, and like just being, like you said, being honest, transparent, because like I was even watching like, you know, those motivational videos and stuff that always come across like the Instagram timeline, like where they were talking about like when someone is like, you know, like saying things like, okay, like, how are you feeling? Like, you know, just being honest about it, like saying like, okay, I'm feeling this way. Or like when someone is giving you like a compliment, instead, like, you know, sometimes like, especially like as athletes, I know sometimes we could be like, okay, you got a nice jump shot. You got a nice jump shot. And we could be like, oh no, it's not even really that good. It's really not even that good, type of deal like that. But like, instead of just saying like, you know, thank you, like, I appreciate it, you know, because like we shouldn't have to suppress our feelings, and two, we should be, you know, appreciative of like the people recognizing the work that we put in to get to where we need to get to. And I think that, you know, as athletes though, through like the process of like, you know, going through that like cycle, like I think that those are some of the things that are taught to us like unintentionally, like to where like, you know, okay, if you fall down, like get right back up, or like, okay, if, you know, someone says this, like you can't say that, type of deal, you know. And like you know, there's certain levels in between it, and that's a conversation for another day. But you know, it's just really just about like, you know, the main thing, like you're you know, giving off is that, you know, not to suppress your feelings, and you know, being able to be transparent as much as possible. And I think that, you know, that eases the mind, you know, too, as well, because you're being honest with yourself and with others around you. So that's really, really dope. So on a different note, what is the best food place in Westwood?
I mean, there's just so many directions.
Yeah.
What sticks out to me first, of course, is Fat Sal's. We were just talking about this. Like the buffalo chicken fries at Fat Sal's will change your life.
We are Fat Sal's connoisseurs.
But also honorary mention, whatever the name of that taco truck is.
Oh,
you know what
yes.
I'm talking about? Yes. It was on Westwood and Santa Monica.
Yes.
And as soon as we both left UCLA, they moved one right in Westwood.
Really? I did not know that.
Yes. So that felt criminal to me when I saw it. I was felt personally attacked, but it's also probably for the best because I would have gone every single day. But yeah, and I mean, also I would go all the time to Big Chill, the frozen yogurt place. So those are like my three favorite things.
I don't think I ever went to Big Chill.
Really?
No, where is that at?
I am shocked that we are friends and you did not go. Yeah. Everybody go.
Yeah, I never went to Big Chill.
Westwood, and I don't know, it's down Westwood.
Is it next to, like, what restaurant is it next to?
It's like past the taco truck.
Okay.
Like farther down Westwood.
Wait, no, I dig. Is it like where they have like the LED sign?
Yes.
Okay, yes, I have been there actually. Yeah, okay.
I was gonna say, I'm for sure made you come.
Yeah, I've been there before this. That place was amazing. Yes.
Yeah.
Big Chill. So okay, we got the taco truck that remains unanimous. And
if I remember the name, I'll say it.
Yeah, we'll have to get that one figured out. And then Fat Sal's. Fat Sal's is for sure a go-to. You can never like there's no way you could be near Fat Sal's and turn down a Fat Sal's. Yeah. It's like a no, like nah.
Yeah, and Gucci, that place next to it.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes.
Very good.
They have some. So like as you know, I was just in at UCLA like a few weeks ago, and they have like a bunch of new places out there. Like they're in like where that Pieology was at. There's like a hibachi place.
Yeah, that's a little crazy.
Yeah, it's getting a little crazy out there in
It's
Westwood.
getting a
I don't know what's
little
going on.
crazy.
But hey, they'll figure it out. So, okay, back on basketball. What advice do you have for, because I know, like, let's just talk about the women's basketball side of things. I know women's basketball does not get nowhere near as much credit as it deserves. And as we see, you know, there's a lot going on right now, like with Brittany Griner and such and such. And then just like with, you know, the pay and like, you know, representing the representation for the WNBA and like just like women's basketball in general. And you know, that could be discouraging. Like we talked about, like, you know, how, you know, you dealt with the stuff when you were 13 years old and, you know, going through like that process of everything. What advice would you give to a young girl that is coming up through the basketball circuit, or like, you know, trying to think about picking up a basketball, or that is a college athlete that's getting ready to possibly be a professional athlete, or even just a professional athlete? What advice do you have when it comes to, like, you know, that side of things, like trying to make it in that, or like, you know, trying to, you know, like better yourself throughout the game and like work ethic and all those different types of things?
I think, and like Corey used to always say this, but it just takes what it takes.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's no like there's actually no like there's no hack to becoming great. There's no shortcut. Like obviously you could argue like some people are more athletically predispositioned to be great. Like sure, yeah.
Yeah.
But like the that's like not a hindrance for anybody. Like you just got to put your head down and go to work. And like there's just like, and what I wish I would have known then, that I know now is like how much what you eat and how you sleep and like your recovery affects the way you perform. Because I feel like I've mastered that now at 26, but like back then it was like that makes such a difference. And so I think it just like it's the little things that add up to be really big things. And it just, yeah, you just have to like stay with it, like, and just like surround yourself with people that understand. I think that was my biggest thing too in high school, is like all my friends knew what I wanted too. So like I never felt like I was missing out on things when I was going to do basketball or whatever, because like we all knew what I was striving for. And so whenever I was available, I was welcomed back in. So I think it's just like surrounding yourself with those people too that just get it and like are willing to, you know, you're gonna have to sacrifice. Like I think about like not going to prom, you know, like not going to all those dances. And like obviously that seems so much more important then than it does now. Now I'm like, whatever.
Whatever,
But like
yeah.
back then it felt so important. So it's like you didn't have to give up some things, and like it takes what it takes, but it's also way worth it. And
Yeah.
I'm so thankful that I chose the path I did. And I'm so thankful like that I got to experience what I did, because it changed my life. It changed me like as a person. Like I'm a better, happier, healthier, more whole person because of my collegiate
Awesome.
athletic experience. But it took I sacrificed a lot to get there, so it wasn't easy, but it was definitely worth it.
That's dope. That's dope. Yeah. I love that advice. And like you said, I think that, you know, the common trend throughout this conversation is just like the consistency and sticking with the support staff, all those, you know, different things are very imperative. Is there anything, as from the women's hoop side of things, is there anything that like that you see that like us as males, or like anybody that may not be like watching like basketball, or, you know, like ways that like, what do you think could like support wise that could be done, like in terms of being able to grow like WNBA sports, like the women's hoop circuit more? Because I feel like from like the high school like side of things, like women's hoops is like very like on that pedestal when it comes to like media and stuff, and like people paying attention to it and stuff like that. I think it gets like a lot of the same pub that like the male like AAU hoop circuit does, but then like there's just that big gap between like the NBA, WNBA, and I love watching WNBA basketball.
Yeah.
So like what like could like the non-viewers of the sport, or like the like the male species, whatever type of deal, do to, you know, help, you know, promote like WNBA basketball, like women's hoops, all that different types of things? Any advice, like anything that you like could like
Yeah.
think of? Yeah.
I think it's just about one, turning it on. Like WNBA League Pass is like $12 a month. Like
Yeah.
buy it, support the WNBA, turn it on and watch, because I think it's phenomenal basketball. I
Absolutely.
know it. I know it's phenomenal.
Absolutely.
I would argue the WNBA is the most talented league in the world. It's
Yeah.
the smallest. It has there's 144 people fighting for a spot every single day.
I
Like
agree.
144 period. That's
Yeah.
it. So it's the 144 best basketball players in the world are playing in the same league. And so I think it's just about showing up and turning it on. And it like it's so different than the NBA. The style of play is so different. And so it's like
Yeah.
it's comparing apples and oranges. But when you compare it as the same thing, like that's when you start to be like, no, it's not. Like they don't do this, they don't that. Like
Yeah.
shut up. Like
Like duh.
and so I
Yeah.
think it's just taking it for what it is and be like, they are phenomenal. And I also think like what the WNBA has done off the court is remarkable, and it is what like sets them apart. It's like they have been willing to sacrifice themselves and their agenda for the sake of like the greater good.
Yeah.
And I just think they're like phenomenal role models, and I think they're just powerful women. And so I think my advice or like my suggestion is to turn it on and watch. And like if you have a team in your city, like go to a game.
Yeah.
And like when you hear the slander or all that, like one, it's never like game like respects game. So like
Yeah.
it's never
It
anybody
should never
like
be
you would
one
never
against the other.
right, and you would
Yeah.
never see LeBron talking down on the WNBA because
No
he
shot. Yeah.
recognized, but like it's the guy that didn't play JV basketball in high school that like has something to say.
The
And
guy
I'm like,
that probably got balled up by, yeah.
right. And I'm like, or it's like all these guys are like, I better get you 2-1-1. Well, like, yeah, you're 6'8". Like, what do you
Yeah.
want me to do?
Duh,
Like,
yeah.
I'm 6 foot on a good day. You know what I mean? So I think it's just like respecting them as like powerful women and like respecting their craft and knowing like they have done so much for the girls that come behind them. Like I recognize like when Chicago got a WNBA team when I was in 5th grade.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know because it wasn't on TV at that time. Like I didn't know I could play professional basketball until I was 10 years old. I had no idea.
Yeah.
And so I think like the sky came to Chicago and like my life changed because of it, because for the first time, like I found my place in the world because I saw what places basketball could take me. And it's that life changing.
Mm-hmm.
And it just matters. And so I think it's just about showing up for people, supporting people, like your friends that are in the league, like support them, cheer them on, like, and because it's like phenomenal what they're doing when you really think about it and you crunch the numbers of it. And I think as like the WNBA looks to expand, it's like the people in those new cities looking to support them too, like wherever they go. I hope it's Nashville. That would be so fun. But
get the team out there.
Yeah, but I think just like showing up and supporting people and like letting the women be great because they are.
Yeah.
And like let's like give them their time to shine in their moment because like they're phenomenal women.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's an amazing perspective because and that like it's super amazing. I think that like you said, it's like comparing apples and oranges. You can't expect, anybody to be out there, even the women to be out there dunking like LeBron James or like, Ja Moran or doing any of like the crazy things and this and that, but like the aspect of the game, and the way that the styles of play, there's 2 different styles of play. And I think that once you like look at it like that and don't have like a judgmental mindset from the mindset of, oh, well, they're doing X, Y, Z, or that many people are not watching, like you learn to appreciate the game. Like you said, you're not going to have, none of the NBA basketball players are going to be sitting there, judging like the WNBA and this not because they appreciate game. Like you said, game recognizes game. So, yeah. And like you said, like being able to just go like catch a game, like I could be a lot better at this too, as well myself, because like I've been to like 2 Aces games. So like I, need to be going to like more like WNBA games too, as well. I mainly just watch on TV, but like just the experience, like all the Aces games that I went to, like it was a dope experience. Like just being able to, seeing how it was all put together and stuff like that too, as well. So glad that I got the opportunity to ask you that question, because I definitely like I've been trying to like look at different things. Like, okay, I wonder like how could you go about supporting and make it like more on that main scale, like like a lot of these other leagues are too, as well. So yeah, dope.
And I think about too, like we just celebrated the 50th anniversary of Title IX. Like 50 years. Like I'm 26.
Yeah.
Like my mom is, well, I won't say how old she is. She might be offended by that. But like my mom did not grow up. Like my mom was whatever 5-10 years old when Title IX was passed. Like I know people where like they didn't have the opportunity to play in college. Like they had no, like women had no opportunity. So it's like when you think it's been 50 years, like what the league has done is remarkable.
It's amazing. It's like, a short time frame.
Right. It's like, so like women were given an opportunity to play sports, whatever, 50 years ago. Like let's like like celebrate the change rather than being like it's not where it needs to be. Like well, like if you actually put in the same amount of money, like it would actually like the result would be the same.
Right.
But people aren't willing to do it yet. And so I think it's cool. I feel like there are people starting to like support, buy in, like I think it's cool when the NBA players show up to things. Like,
Yeah.
at the same time, I'm like, it's not just worthy because LeBron thinks it's cool. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, there's like definitely a balance there, but I just think it's cool, like, to see how far it's come. And like, when you really think about it, like, it's incredible. And like, there are some women who really lost, like, did not have, like, phenomenal athletes who didn't have the opportunity. And so I'm grateful for the ones who blazed the trail and were willing to fall on the sword in a lot of ways and experience some really hard things in order for people my age to flourish and thrive. And now we have a thriving league that's expanding, and I think it's on the rise, and like the best is yet to come for it.
Right. Yeah. It's coming. It's coming. And being able to have that perspective too, as well, to like see that, it's only been 50 years, and like, the growth of it, it's so much more coming in the future with it. So I definitely have high hopes for it. My little sister, she's into volleyball right now. I hope that, she gets into basketball, because she's like super, super tall. So like, I feel like she'll
Yeah.
really benefit from it too as well. But
Let me talk to her again.
yeah,
Let's
like get in her ear a little bit. Yeah. Because I feel like she'd love it, man. But it's definitely coming. So I appreciate you sharing that. So like, what like, what have you been up to? Like, what outside of like, basketball and everything, like, graduated from college, you're in Nashville now. You were mentioning like, how's life after sports been, and adjusting, making that transition.
I mean, yeah, I live in Nashville now. So I lived in California for 2 years after I graduated and just moved to Nashville like a year ago.
Okay.
And I think like, I mean, the transition is hard. Like there's no other way to say it. I feel like you lose your identity. You lose like, it's like my whole life I was working towards something, and then you graduate and you're like, who am I? What am I? Who am I when no one's telling me what to do, when I'm not
Right.
successful, quote unquote successful by the world standards. And so I feel like even like, okay, what does it mean to like work out again? Like, what does it mean to like eat what I want to eat? Like,
Right.
what does it mean to like have autonomy over my own body for the first time ever in my life?
Yeah.
And like that's like a crazy thing. And I've been like thinking about this a lot recently, of just like for the first 6 months I graduated, I don't think I sweat. Like, I'm not kidding you, like for 6 months, because I just like
Really.
I had zero desire,
Yeah.
zero.
Yeah.
And I feel like, and that's my advice to people, is that like once you graduate, like there's no like, oh, I gotta like maintain this body I was in college. Like, that's impossible.
Facts.
Like, you're not like, your life isn't geared towards that anymore. Like, my
Facts.
full-time
Yeah.
job is no longer how strong am I, how fast am I,
Yeah.
how what's my lateral quickness. Like, that doesn't and so
Doesn't mean
I
shit
think,
anymore. Yeah.
right. And so I think it's just like, for me, I took a break, and like, because my body had taken a beating for 24 years of my life.
Mhm.
And so now I feel like I am probably in the best shape I've ever been in my life. I'm
That's
the
dope.
healthiest
Kudos
mentally,
on that.
physically, emotionally. And it's because like I just like took a break, and then was like, okay, what does working out look like now? And it has nothing to do with how I look, or like what I weigh on a scale, like none of it. Like, I will never step on a scale again in my life. But like,
Yeah.
it's like, how do I feel? Like, do I feel good? Like, do I have a clear mind?
Yeah.
Like, what, like, I wake up every day and I'm like, okay, like, how, like, you can gauge, like, how do I feel? And then this is how I'm gonna respond. Like, oh, I'm gonna go on a walk today. Oh, I'm gonna go to like a class. Like, I work out a lot now, but it's because I enjoy the people, I enjoy the community, I enjoy the way I feel afterwards. And so I think it's just like learning to take care of yourself and realize that like my worth was never tied to my athletics, and
Yeah.
like it was a big part of my life, but it's not who I am. And so, and it will never, like, I hope it, like, what I experienced, like, I'm really proud of myself and I'm really grateful, but I also hope those weren't the best days of my life.
Mm.
And I hope that wasn't I hope I don't, like, 20 years from now, all people remember about me is like, oh yeah, she played at UCLA. Like,
Yeah.
no, like, was I kind? Like, did I show up for you? Like,
Yeah.
was I a good friend? Like,
Yeah.
was your life enhanced because I was a part of it? Like, that's what matters to me. And so I think just like shifting my perspective and learning to like take care of myself and my body in a new way. And like, I say all that and I say, like, I'm grateful for the coaches, the strength coaches, the nutritionists, like the skills coach. Like, I'm grateful. Like, I needed it, like I'm not like, I'm grateful I had those kind of people in my life. But then when you lose it, it's like, okay, how do I now take care of this body? And what does it look like to like live in a body that hardly felt like it was ever actually mine?
Yeah.
And then now it is, and I'm in charge, and it's
Yeah.
just like cool, but it's definitely an adjustment. I mean, but I feel like I'm like figuring it out and learning new things, and just taking it a day at a time, and also like giving myself grace and being like, okay, like you are not going to run as fast as you did when you were 19. And like,
Yeah.
that's totally fine. Like,
Yeah.
also you had like 2 major surgeries, you know, and
Yeah.
your body is not, you know, and so I think it's just
Things
cool
have
to kind of,
changed.
things have changed, and like what a beautiful thing to have gotten to experience, and also like the best is yet to come.
Right. Yeah. And that's dope. I think like, you know, when you're making that transition from sports, we all like, I think it's important that we push the narrative that things are going to be different. Like you're going to have to find your identity when it's all set, like when you're done with the game,
Totally.
because like whether you want to or not, you're going to be identified by the sport that you played, the accolades that you achieved, you know, all the things that you know that you've done throughout that time period. You're going to be known by that. And that's fine, you know, but at the same time, like you have to be able to find yourself outside of that, you know, and like
Right.
people always ask me all the time, like, you know, when has it been hard for you to like stop playing? And I don't, you know, I can only speak for myself. I'm not sure for you know, you can go into depth too as well. But like when they asked me, like, was it hard for you to stop playing? I always say, no, it was not hard for me to stop playing. I missed the game of football. You know, the game of football was a part of my life for the like, you know, since I was 6 years old. But do I necessarily miss, you know, waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, you know,
Right.
like getting, you know, helmet to helmet contact every single day?
Right.
Like,
Yes.
do I miss like my body going one way when it's not supposed to go this way, falling on the ground? Is this not? Absolutely not. Because like, for one, you know, physically, it just wasn't good for me anymore. And then like, you know, on the mental side of things, you know, it was taking a real big toll on like my mental health. But like being able to, like, I had an identity, and like I had an identity early, you know, being able to, you know, find myself in some entrepreneurial things pretty early. Like I was able to see that, you know, there was life outside of football. You know, there was different ways to, you know, make my mom happy, you know, being able to provide for my family, you know, being able to represent my name well. You know, I found that early, like earlier in my, you know, career, after especially leaving UCLA. So like, you know, I think the main thing is just finding an identity and, you know, trusting that, you know, that will happen for you. And like that's why like I wanted to have a platform like this, so that people are able to see that, you know, yeah, it's hard. Like it's hard for, you know, to be able to leave the game and like be able to step away the game. And it's hard going through the game too as well. But being able to, you know that other people are out here in the world that are like that and that you can relate to, and that, you know, you can see, I feel like it'll give that little spark to be like, okay, you know what, it is possible. Like I can do it, you know, and you know, that's really what, you know, we are here for. Me and you, just like, you know, being
Yeah.
able to give that representation and like show that. So that's really, really dope. So are you so you're in Nashville. You want to go into detail like what you're doing in Nashville, like work
Yeah.
wise, like what, like, you know, what's going on out there? I hear Nashville's pretty lit. Like I was talking to you before we got on camera. So like
Yeah.
how's all that?
It's great. I feel like it was moving here was the first decision I ever made just for myself.
Mm,
Nobody input at
mm,
all, which was cool. I feel like it was like because like you said, you graduate. I had a different job for a little bit there, and that kind of became my identity after basketball. I don't think I ever really healed from the identity crisis of athletics. I think I just put it somewhere else. And so I feel like a year ago, I put all my stuff in my car and I drove across the country, and I was like, who am I? Like
mm,
that mattered to me. And I feel like I'm experiencing like freedom for the first time. It's like, this is really who I am. I work at Lululemon, and I do different things in the store, some
yeah,
community outreach within there. I coach high school basketball, which
sick.
is such a gift. And I feel like people either coach because they had a bad coach and they want to fix the experience for someone else,
Yeah,
or people have great coaches and they want to give back. And I have nothing but great coaches my entire life. And so I
yeah,
feel I love I love the coaching aspect of it, but I also feel like a moral responsibility to give what I've been given.
right.
And I know the power of a good coach. I know what a coach looking in your eye and being like, I believe in you. I know what that can do for a kid because it changed my life.
Right.
And so I love coaching. And like I said, my sister goes to Belmont, she plays here. And so just to get to be a part of her life, like from the day to day, and just cheer her on, show up to every game, like every team event, it's just like, it's so special. And like she showed up for me my whole career, and then she started playing, and it was like, hey, like tables have turned and now it's my turn to show up for you. So
Right.
I love it here. I think the coolest thing about Nashville is like how transient of a city it is. Like
Mhm.
everyone's moving here all the time.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I'm constantly surrounded by people that move here. Everyone who moves here looking for something. And
Mhm.
it's
Is
like
it
they're
cheap there?
pursuing it. Not really anymore because everyone's moving
Okay,
here.
everybody coming out
But
there.
it's like everyone is coming here chasing a dream. And so I
Yeah.
just feel like I've been really inspired by the people I've been surrounded by, just like from an entrepreneurial perspective. Like
Mhm.
I'm surrounded by like aspiring authors and entrepreneurs and people starting their own things. And it's just really cool to be a part of.
Yeah.
To just see like, okay, like this is like we all have the capacity to rebuild our whole lives right here. And so
Right.
that's what I feel like I'm doing. Like every single day, I feel like it's a rebuild from kind of what I've been through. And like I'm coming out the other side now. And like I've been here, like I said, almost a year. And I feel like myself again. Like I feel like I know me. And
Awesome.
that's like a really great feeling.
Yeah.
And it's just special, and I'm just like grateful to get to live here, you know. And it's a 7-hour drive from my parents. I see my parents more, you know, and just all those things that it's like I missed for a really long time being out in California. So now I'm here for who knows how long.
That's sick. Could you ever see yourself going back to California?
I don't know. It's expensive out there.
It is so
Um,
expensive.
and the traffic, like,
Yeah.
but like obviously I loved LA. Like it was such a special place to be. I think it has similar properties to here, just like people chasing something, going after something, like always something to do. I love LA. Like I will always have a piece of my heart there. Like the people there, my teammates, my coaches, they changed my life. Do I think I am personally a person that should live in LA? No, I do not think I am. But who knows? Never say never.
Right. You never know.
I, you never know. It's a special place for sure, full of like some of the best people I know. So we'll see.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I don't want to hold you too much longer. I want to highlight this one thing that I did see, while doing a little bit of information into you, doing a little bit of background information into you. So I was looking at your profile and I seen that there was a nonprofit organization that you were a part of called Jack's Army. You want to tell us just a little bit briefly about that and like what's your role in that nonprofit?
Yeah. So the brief backstory is my assistant coach in high school. He has a son with a rare form of epilepsy called KCNQ2 encephalopathy, and it's a lot of different things that I don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
But when he was first diagnosed, when I think I was a sophomore in high school, like there was no other kid in the U.S. who was diagnosed.
Wow.
So he had this family with this kid, and they Googled the diagnosis and nothing shows up. You know what I mean? Like they had no resources. They had no one with any comprehensive understanding of what they were experiencing. And so I remember him telling my dad and I this after one of our games. And my dad is such a visionary that he's like, well, what do you need? And my coach is like, we need a website, we need money, we need researcher, we need people who know what they're doing, all these things. And like my dad had formed a foundation within a week. Wow. Like he gathered people and was like, this is what we're going to do. So it's a really cool nonprofit that raises money for research, mostly for these families, for these kids with rare form of epilepsy, and it connects the families too, which is really cool. I think now there's like over 150 kids around the world with this diagnosis, and so all these families can come together and like share their experience and like, this is what worked for me, this is what didn't, you know. And so I think just being a part of something bigger than myself and watching my dad like just have a vision and go after it, like I feel grateful to have been a part of that. And we have a golf outing every year that raises money. I think it's up to like it's raised over $1 million in the last 10 years.
Wow,
and
sick.
There's been like grants with the National Institute of Health from like the Baylor College of Medicine doing research. And so it's just cool to see that like you actually can make a difference. Like me, a 14-year-old kid with like listening to it, and I'm like, Dad, we should do something. And he's like, absolutely, you know. And so it's just cool. Like we can make a difference, and just watching the organization grow. And like Jack is just the sweetest kid, and like he has like this smile that'll light up the room, and like he can't walk, he can't talk, but like he is like, he's such a valuable part of my life, and he's just like, he's taught me so much. His family has taught me so much. And so I think just getting to be a part of something that's bigger than yourself, it just matters. And like I don't want my whole life to be about me. And so just getting to be part of that has been really special and really cool. And then like getting to help put on the golf outings and run different things and doing the fundraising, like it's been really special, and I just feel grateful. And I'm like obviously grateful for the positive impact it's had on the lives of these families with these kids, these like precious kids with this disease. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I had no like idea, you know, and like looking into the website, like I was reading up on it and everything like that, learning through there. And I think that's really dope that you're a part of that. Like you are definitely making a big change, especially, you know, if it started from 1 and then going to 150, and then now, you know, you guys have raised the amount of money that you have, and like, you know, doing the community events and everything like that too as well. It just goes to show that, you know, that's in a way, you know, still finding an identity outside of sports, even though like you may have not even known it. like early as 13, 14 years old, like you had that identity outside of sports and was able to, make an impact on somebody's life and stuff like that. So, yeah, man, I appreciate you for coming on the show, man, and sharing this information and, giving the wisdom that you did. And I think that, there's a lot of information in this that, people will value and get, get from it to be able to better their lives and, being able to, just get a different perspective into things too as well. So I really appreciate you. I appreciate the friendship and stuff that we have too as well. Obviously, we'll stay in contact outside of this, just this podcast, but, I really, really appreciate it. And, just wanted to say that. So, if you have any other things that you like to add, as we, for the listeners and stuff like that, like as we get ready to get off, you're more than welcome to share. And then if not, we'll go ahead and close out.
I don't think I have anything to add, but I just like reciprocate all you've said. And like you've just been such a constant friend to me through some real ups and downs like of our college experience. And I'm also just proud of you because like I've watched you like navigate some really rough things. And this is just cool. Like this is just a really cool thing you're doing. And I know it takes a lot of work. And so, yeah, I'm just proud of you. And I just like believe in what you're doing. And, I have your back no matter what.
Appreciate it.
So.
Appreciate it. It's important. Athletes unite.
It is.
All right, man. Well, that was Chrissy Baird. I appreciate you guys for listening to the episode. And all the support that you guys have shown up until this point. And yeah, CB, we'll go ahead and close it out here. And thank you again.